In the quiet moments, that's where I'll find a little room to breathe, leave it all behind. Give me room to breathe, I need some time to heal my heart, to clear my mind. Gonna love myself, yeah, I believe in the power of me. Just give me room to breathe.
Great new day to all my self-care family and friends. Welcome back to the Room2Breathe Podcast. I'm your host, Life Coach 614, and I'm so glad that you're here today. Before we get into today's powerful episode, just a quick reminder. If you're enjoying the vibe, show us some love by tapping the screen, liking, commenting, and sharing. Your support helps us to connect more amazing people on their healing journey. And if we're not already connected, go ahead and hit that follow button, subscribe to the channel, so that way you never miss a moment of what's coming next. And don't forget to visit our website at theselfcareclub.org. That's where healing meets intention. We've got some free resources, affirmative apparel, and other motivational merch made just for you. And y'all already know, the green hearts in our chat mean that we're tuned in, tapped in, and committed to this journey of healing and growth together. Now, take a deep breath with me. Breathe in and out. Let's get present. You guys, today's conversation is for the ones who have done the soul work, gotten the vision, heard the calling, and they're sitting in the tension of what's next. And, the truth is, knowing your purpose is one thing, but walking in it, that's a whole different level. Today's episode is titled Activated, Not Just Aware. Because, walking in your purpose looks a little bit different, right? And you know what, guys? Honestly, today I'm simply honored to be joined by someone who embodies this truth in such real and a relatable way. My girl, JusDemi. Guys, look, she is not just talented. She's truly tapped in. She's not just creating. I really believe that she's called. And today we're opening the conversation around what it really looks like to move from awareness to activation. Because baby, this walk ain't pretty, but it is purposeful. So if you've ever felt stuck at the starting line of your calling, today's episode is just for you. We're going to talk about the daily choices, the losses, the shifts, and all the sacred yes that purpose requires. Now, let me go ahead and bring my girl into the room with me. JusDemi, girl. Welcome to welcome back to Room2Breathe.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, I'm so excited. So excited to be here to talk about this whole thing, purpose and what to do with it and get it activated and going.
Yes.
Oh, so excited.
Yes. And look, as always, we are so glad to have you back here with us. I want you to go ahead and just reintroduce yourself to the fam. Tell them a little bit about who you are and what purpose looks like in your work.
Absolutely. So first of all, I want to say I'm a mother of 7 wonderful children. I am a double certified life coach, along with a holistic health coach as well. I am the founder and CEO of Joseph Falou Foundation, which is a non-charitable organization, which is about giving back to our community and being able to help those who are in need by setting up workshops. And I'm a child of God. Like, God has got me through it. So first and foremost, that's it.
Yeah. Listen, and that's that mic drop, right? Like, I'm a child of God. Boop. Period.
Right.
Right. Because how else could we do all that we do, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Right. So let's just jump right into this, okay? Because look, if we're being real, so many of us think that finding our purpose is the end goal, right? They're like, oh, I found my purpose. I'm done. And it's like, once we discover it, you think that everything else is just going to fall into place. we're going to debunk that myth for y'all, okay? Because
Yes.
purpose isn't passive. You know, you found your purpose, yay you, but keep walking, okay? Finding it is just the beginning, and I don't think that people really understand that. The real work begins after the revelation. You know what I mean? It's like you found it, but what next?
Mm-hmm.
Now what? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, I was just like, oh yeah, I got it. And then I was like, okay, God, what you want me to do with it though? Like, what you want me to do?
Right. What next now? Okay.
Right. What was the moment that you realized that you were no longer just aware, but that you were actually activated in your purpose?
Well, let me just say that I've always been like aware of my purpose, that I had some sort of purpose, right? But I didn't know what to do with it. I'm here for a reason. Just like you said, there's a reason why I'm here, right? And I knew that I enjoyed helping other people. I knew that I was on a path, a journey of trying to figure out more of who I was. Because like I said, you know, I do have beautiful children. I was married for 26 years. My husband passed away this past September. So going through the grief process as well, just a lot of work. Like you said, every day you wake up and you have this purpose and you're like, what am I supposed to be doing with it? But that moment for me was about 3-4 years ago, when everything kind of happened with my husband. He was diagnosed with cancer. And right then and right there, I knew that I wanted to be able to help him through this, right? To be able to find other ways, which is kind of where the holistic healthcare came in. So each part of my journey, my story, I was led down a path to add something on or to find more information, just to like really excite me. Like it just makes me feel so good to know that not only do I know what my purpose is, but I'm living in my purpose every day by putting in the work, putting in all the hard work and the blood, sweat, and tears. And like you said, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. Because there are days I don't even want to get out of my bed, but you know, but for the most part, it's just knowing that I do have this purpose and making sure that I'm fulfilling it, because I know how important it is to me, and important to people around me as well.
Yeah, I 100% get that. It's such a big difference from just knowing that your life has purpose, you know, especially if you're a believer, you know, if you know I'm a child of God, you know who your father is. So you know my life has purpose. Otherwise I wouldn't be here. But like walking in your purpose, like it I don't know, to me it's something that's like so different. Like I don't know, like I feel like it's just an awakening. You know, it's like you said, it's that there has to be more kind of moment. And for me, you know, my dad, you know, did a very good job at pouring into me as a child. And so I always knew that I was loved and that I was wanted and, you know, all of these things, right? So I knew that there was a purpose in my life. But there was a point when, you know, I was like, but what's the purpose? Like, because you see everybody else accomplishing so many things, but you're like, what am I supposed to do? Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, I always tell this story and I talk about how, okay, imagine like if you have an heirloom that's been handed down, right? And so, you know, it's meaningful to you because it came from your great grandma.
Yes.
So it has meaning. But then on a whim, you take it and you go get it appraised. And then you also then find out that that meaningful item also has value.
Yes.
That it's worth millions.
Yes.
And, you know, that obviously having meaning, knowing that that item is purposeful meant one thing for you. But then when you realize that it has the value to go along with it, it's like, it hits different. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's, I think, you know, when you recognize that there is a purpose for you, that you have purpose, and now you know what your purpose is while you're here. And I feel like, that's where your spirit starts whispering that you were made for something greater, that there's more that you could do. Like you're not finished yet. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think that a lot of people need to understand it, even when you don't have all the details, because asking people what's your purpose, you will feel like that is the $1 million question. Like nobody has an answer.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're all struggling. Like, well, I like that. No, baby, what is your purpose? Like, what is God calling you to do?
Right. Absolutely.
And so even though you may not have all the details yet, you might still be confused. You're going to be overwhelmed. Hell, you're going to be a little lost. You know what I mean? But deep down, you know that you're not here by accident.
Yes.
You know what I mean? None of us are accidentally here.
No.
We're all in this, we're all in this sacred space together. I don't know, just growing and evolving,
Just growing and evolving, and definitely, just like you said, there's so many people out there that don't realize what their purpose is, or don't realize that they should be doing something with it, right? Like when you follow a certain path and when you align yourself with your purpose, the utter joy that it just brings you, in knowing that, because there's so many people out there that they're not aware and they're struggling. People that are settling for jobs they don't want to be in, right? They're thinking, oh, what am I good at? What can I do? But it's all about your purpose. What gives you that just get up and go? Like, I got to get this done. Like, what ignites you? You have to really figure that out. And it could be anything. It could be being the best hairstylist in the world. It could be being the best barber in the world. If that's what you want to do and that's your passion and your purpose, like, I feel good. I just did that. And, this is what I'm meant to do. That is putting self-love into somebody else. That's pouring into other people. When you make somebody feel good about themselves.
Yeah. Exactly. And I feel like I always attribute it to thinking about like, let's say you're just standing at the bank of a river, and on the other side of this river you see life. Like you see life in a way that you've never seen it before. You know what I mean? And you're just standing there. You have the means to get across the river. There's a boat, there's a bridge. Right. That you have the means to get across this river, but you're just standing there like, this is nice. That is beautiful, right? Yes. Purpose can't just live in your mind. Yes. Right? Like the beauty that you see over there, you have to know God brought you to this river's edge for a reason. Get yourself across it and live. Yes. You know what I mean? Most of us are so busy surviving. We're just here just to be here because I ain't got nowhere else to be, and I ain't asked to be here. Right. Baby, newsflash, none of us asked to be here. Nope. But here we are. Yes. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to put action with it. It has to move through your feet, your hands, but most importantly, your heart. Yes. And if your heart isn't in it, there's a 99% chance that what you're doing is not your purpose. Right? Absolutely. Just because you're on autopilot. That's why we have these jobs, we have these careers, but not every career is meant to be your purpose.
That's absolutely correct.
Some people's purpose is the charities that they give to, or the give back that they do in the end. Just things like that. So I think that people need to really start to figure out, like, first and foremost, what is purpose? You know what I mean? Like, I think that people need to get back to the basics. Yes. What is purpose? Okay, what does it look like for me? Where does that fit in? I don't know. It's all scary, and I think that every single part of our healing journey is scary, because it's easy to just, like I said, walk around life on autopilot. But when you really start to stop and do the work and pay attention to the things, it gets scary. Yes. For you, when you first, I guess, recognized your purpose, when you first really started stepping into it and walking in it, did that moment feel freeing to you, or did it feel like frightening, or a little bit of both? Like,
I'm completely honest. Every single time I talk about it, it feels so freeing. It feels like are you kidding me? Like, why didn't somebody tell me this a long time ago? Like, why didn't somebody point me in this direction? Like, it's okay. Like, I'm going to have bad days, but it's all part of the path, the journey that I'm on. Like, it's so freeing because I know I'm not afraid of the unknown because I know my purpose. So I know the unknown, you know, I know what the end game is going to be, you know. I just don't know exactly where I'm going to be sitting at the end game, but I know if I'm fulfilling my purpose and I'm going down that path, it's so freeing. I mean, obviously when you're having a bad day, you don't want to go 10 steps back. That could be a little scary,
Exactly.
But for all, you know, intents purposes, 95% freeing.
Yeah. It's very liberating.
Yes.
And then I think too, it gets frustrating because you're like, I should have been doing this. You know what I mean? It's like, what have I been doing all my life?
Right.
Like,
right.
You know, I think that's when you start to recognize too where you've wasted so much time, and you start to appreciate where you've spent the time. You know, because wasting time and spending time is not the same.
Not the same.
Not the same. And when you start walking in your purpose, you will realize how much time you've wasted. And you will appreciate all the time spent going forward, walking in your purpose.
Yep.
I remember when I first realized what I was really here to do on earth.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, this is not glamorous. Like, teaching other people about healing, you know, things this nobody want to hear all that. Okay, self-care is going to the spa. Like, that's what they want to hear. They want to take these trips, and everybody's like, oh, I want to do the soft life, but then you don't even know what the soft life is, you know.
Right.
I'm like, girl, because it's not pretty. It looked cute on Instagram, but the real healing is ugly. You don't want to show nobody that, you know. And so for me, I can remember it felt heavy, especially because I had the feeling like I was a hypocrite. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I was like, who am I? Like, I'm healing myself. Who am I to then create a platform for people who are healing?
Right.
I'm healing myself. I'm in therapy myself. I got my own life coach.
Right.
You know, so it was like a lot of self-sabotage. And I was like, you know, but something in me, deep, like spiritual, just said, keep going. You're not done yet. And that's a big thing for me. I hear not yet all the time. So every time I get ready to quit, it's like, not yet, right?
Right.
So even though it felt heavy, it was like, you got this, not yet. You know, so I had to just keep going because obedience was something that I had to learn as I got older, you know, and I had to tune out the outside world because I was obedient to my friends and family, but not to the spirit, which is crazy.
Right.
Like, it's crazy, you know. So, but I'll definitely pray to God when I want something or to get me out of something.
Yes,
you know?
Yes.
But,
That's how it starts, girl. Yes.
So learning to be obedient, you know, I was like, okay, I started recognizing, you know, this is gonna cost me something. You know what I mean? And I'm like, in order for me to show up every day for other people and to fill other people's cups up, I'm gonna have to make some sort of sacrifice. And that's scary, you know, like that, the weight of knowing that you were going to lose some things in order to gain some things, like that gets kind of scary because you don't know what it is you're gaining, because you just know you listening to the spirit to lead you to walk, but you're like, but God, where are we going? Like, where are we going? What's the end? What's the destination? You know?
Absolutely.
So I had to choose discipline and obedience over distractions. Even when it felt like nobody was watching. And it's like, okay, cool. When the cameras are off, you would think that I could backslide, but that voice is still there. You know, when nobody else is looking and watching, like, God is still watching. You know what I mean? So I started feeling like a little kid. You know how growing up, they always tell you God can see you. Like, even when we're not around, even when your mom's not around, God can see you. I'm like 40 something years old. Like, okay, God can see me.
Exactly.
let me keep this healing going, you know. But I realize now that was the start of my becoming. You know, that was the beginning of my evolution. And I know that for some people, sometimes clarity doesn't come with comfort. right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it comes with confrontation.
Mm-hmm.
It's the confrontation with our old ways, our old habits, even the people that we always thought would be there, because you burn a lot of bridges down when you start healing, right? But activation looks like daily, regular obedience. It's like better, so now you ain't got no choice but to do better. Exactly. I know that what I was doing ain't right, and I got to do better. Like, I can't stop now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But of course, purpose doesn't always feel good.
Yes.
I think the thing that people need to understand is that sometimes purpose is lonely.
Purpose is very lonely sometimes.
It's lonely.
Yes.
And sometimes it stretches you so far out of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
My girl Demi, I was comfortable and I got stretched.
Yes.
To a whole nother thing where I was like questioning everything, and I had to go back like, okay, God, did you send her to tell me that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you did. You gave me confirmation that you did put her in my life for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, what does daily obedience look like for you?
I mean, you pretty much said it. It's so funny how we're so much alike,
right?
But the obedience, it really is not just like, okay, I'm going to pray for something because I want something. It's the daily obedience, right? Like knowing that if this does not align with my purpose, what I'm called to do, what I'm anointed to do, then why am I doing it?
Right.
What am I talking to this person or talking to that person and listening to what they're saying when I know what my purpose is? Right. I know what I've been called to do. And we can't let somebody else's fear or doubt or worry or whatever the case may be stop us from doing what we know that we're called to do.
Absolutely.
And especially when it's so funny when you said, because I do it all the time, the why me? Like why am I the one being called to do this?
Right.
But then I tell myself, and this is all about being obedient, why not me?
Right.
Why not me?
Right.
Why does it have to be somebody else? When I already know, I'm already on this path. God has called me to do this. So why not me? So every day I have to put that self-love into myself. And I think a lot of people don't realize that's where it starts, right? You really have to build that foundation within yourself, loving yourself, and that foundation with that higher power, whatever you believe. You really have to strengthen that, because if you can build up that foundation, that core, then you can't be easily broken. Are you going to have bad days? Of course, but you're going to get back up again. You're going to know this is just a bad day. This is just a bad moment, but I still am on the right path for my purpose.
Absolutely.
And just really knowing and believing in yourself and having that whole, faith over fear. Definitely. You got to believe the words that are coming out of your mouth. You're not just saying it just to say it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think it's so funny because I don't know that we've, obviously we know our start story.
Yes.
I think it would be kind of cool to share with them our start story as well, because it's all purposeful, right?
Yes, it is.
And I feel like I still remember it like it was just yesterday.
Yes, I know.
But so initially, I met your husband.
Yes.
I was doing my thing online, and truthfully, behind the scenes, at the moment when he started coming into my live stream, I was honestly again behind the scenes praying for me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I was just like, I need like-minded people. I need to grow my community, because I had started getting fed up with the community that I was in, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, I need more like-minded people like me. And, I want more life coaches and this and that.
Right.
So this is just me behind the scenes. I wasn't really projecting it online, I thought. Yeah. But so your husband started coming into the live and he was like, ew. And it was jokingly, right? And he would be like, ew, you remind me of my wife. And I was like, well, she's an amazing lady.
Right.
And I was like, she's awesome. Tell sis to pull up.
Right.
And so he said it on several occasions.
Yes.
And I would see him share the live. Mm-hmm. But you never pulled up.
Right.
So then randomly, he comes in and he was like, "You in trouble now?" You know? And so I was like, well, he's like, she on the way. So I was like, and I ain't scared. I ain't scared,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And you pull up in the live and I'm like, hey girl, hey.
Mhm.
And you know, for some people, I'm nervous because I'm like, oh gosh, if this man has been telling his wife, you should come see her, she reminds me of you.
Mhm.
Okay, you know us as women.
Yes.
You're like, who is this woman that you keep telling me that?
Right.
Sorry.
What is going on?
Yeah,
why
it's
why
like-
you keep sending me her information?
Yeah.
Like-
So then you're like, sir, do we need to talk, babe? Like, what's going on? And so for me, I'm like, oh, this could go one way or another. This lady is going to love me or she is going to hate me.
Yes.
You know? And he's like, yeah, she's a life coach too. And da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, we don't all play nice, sir.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, you know, but it's like you came in and you're like, oh, okay. And I don't know if you were busy at the time, but it was like a passing through. And I was like, he hates me. He hates me. And I literally, like, I remember telling my husband about it. And he's like, well, how did it feel? And I was like, I don't know. I think she hates me. And I was like, she'll probably never come back, like, whatever. But you came back.
I did.
And so from your side, like, I'm curious,
Yes.
what was it like from your side? Because we've never shared this. So,
No.
like, what did it feel like for you when he kept sharing my life to you?
Exactly like you said, like who is this lady that you in live with every day that you keep disturbing me while I'm at work? Like, why do you keep telling me about? Okay, she's a life coach. There's lots of life coaches out there. Okay.
Right. You're like,
So
Ian?
it just happened to be I was like home for a moment or something, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm in her live. You gotta come." I said, "All right, let me find out what's going on. What's she talking about?" So I get there, and I you were saying something, and I was like, "Oh, she does sound like me. Okay, go ahead."
Hey, sis.
I'll come back.
Right. Yeah, because I remember you said that. You were like, well, I can't stay,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna come back. And I took that as rejection. Like, she hates me. I failed,
No.
you know? But
No. But my
kept
husband,
coming
you know,
back.
he was just always very supportive and always like, you know, he would be on live a lot, right? Because he was retired. So he was always online and everything. And so he was always in somebody's live, always wanted to share it with me. And I'm like,
okay.
that lady is not a life coach. She should not.
Right?
All right, but we don't judge. We listen.
We
don't
listen
judge.
and we don't judge, right?
Yes. So when I, came into yours, I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
Like her.
Like
I'm
her.
gonna come back. And it's so funny because I was on Bigo for a while, and I wasn't part of anybody's family because I was like, it's too much drama on here. It's too much drama. And then I met you, then I kept going to your lives and everything, and you were doing the Empowerment Saturdays. I was like, oh, okay. And then you said, oh, you need to join my family. I said, I sure will, because you
Right.
and I think that was just divine intervention, because throughout this process of everything that has happened with me losing my husband, the fact that he led me to you, and I have grown so much, because of you and because of that encounter. And I tell you all the time, you're like my biggest inspiration. Like, yes, like,
I'm not gonna cry, y'all.
yes, like walking in my purpose, like that was that. And I know I'm going off subject a little bit, but walking in my purpose, I had to celebrate myself this year for my birthday and everything. And I had to, go through the process. Like I said, some days is better than others, but I know I have a purpose, so I was going to continue to go. But for my 50th birthday, yes,
50 where?
50th birthday.
50 where?
I
Okay.
walked in to walking in my purpose, because that's what I'm doing, like 110%, like no going back. And that's thanks to you. I mean, I feel like that song, like probably like everybody feels like that song was written for them, because you're here for a purpose, and that is part of your purpose.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm thankful for you.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't even take the credit for that. That was on him. You know what I mean? That he was intent on making sure that we connected.
Yes.
Like, no matter how much we tried to fight it, I think that he would have kept pushing, because it was so funny to me, because once we connected, I'm like, okay, wait a minute, hold on. Why he ain't coming back no more? He tired of me now? And I was like, sir, like, okay, we cool now, but like,
Right.
come on back, And it was just one of those things where I'm like, he showed up and he did what he needed to do.
Yes.
And he made sure that we had each other. And, literally, I don't think that people truly understand like how you can make connections with people.
Mm-hmm.
Being online, my whole purpose was to share my message.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's what I was doing. And then that message resonated with him so much that he wanted to link us together.
Yes.
And then he was like, my job is done.
Yes.
Absolutely. He looking down at us like, told y'all.
Told y'all. He sure is. He sure
Fine,
is.
you can have the credit, sir.
Yes.
Fine. He's like, finally something that I gave, like I did for them. But
yes, exactly.
It really truly is a blessing because and it still goes back to that obedience.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had to remain obedient. Like something kept making you want to come back.
Yes.
And even then, like you talked about Bigo, when we were over there, I was like, she don't like me because she ain't joining the family or whatever. And I was like, I'm gonna shoot my shot.
Right.
It's like with people, I'm gonna shoot my shot and see. And I'm like, girl, you should join the family. And you was like, say less. I was like, she does like me. Imposter syndrome, get the hell out of here. We are friends. That is my sister.
Yes.
We locked in now,
Locked in.
So and all of that, even though for some people they might be like they are completely off topic. No, it all is the topic. It
all is
literally
the topic.
all goes back to, sometimes it's in the connection that you make with people.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, that's where you find your purpose.
Yes.
So it's like you can't isolate yourself. You have to, if opportunity presents itself, you have to be available to it. I'm not saying you have to jump on everything.
Yes.
Because you have to, learn discernment.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be open to things in order to see your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And what your purpose truly is. And sometimes it's falling on your ass. Like there's no way to sugarcoat it, y'all. Sometimes it is falling on your ass. Yes. Sometimes it's investing in the wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's trials and errors that come with that, just like everything else with life. But you have to be open to the possibilities and you got to be obedient. Like y'all gonna get tired of me saying obedient, but the word of the day, the word of every day for me is obedience. Yep. So okay, let's reel it back in.
Yeah.
So, what's something that you do behind the scenes? You're gonna be like, girl, that's my business. Okay, just let me finish the question.
Okay.
What's something that you do behind the scenes that nobody else sees that keeps you aligned?
I'm going to say the thing that people don't realize that I do a lot of is two things. I do so many different variations of meditation. I literally do like a shower meditation where I actually have cards, that waterproof cards.
Oh my God, and you stick them on the wall in the shower.
Okay.
We go together.
Yes. Like I believe in it, that mindfulness, that really putting that energy back into myself, because I want to be able to help others. But in helping others, you're losing a little bit of yourself. So you have to remember to put that back in. So I literally have a time scheduled for my self-care every week. And self-care, I maybe a little bit of part of self-care is going to get the nails done, but that's not what self-care really is all about. And some people need to understand that. It really is doing that shadow work, doing that inside deep. Like, what am I going through? How am I feeling at this moment? And what is it that I need to do to get to the next step? And kind of realizing that. But I do a lot of meditation and I do a lot of journaling. I think I have a journal for every single thing.
Listen, they match the outfits. They coordinate with the moods, honey. I'm not feeling the red one today. I'm feeling a little blue. Like,
Yes. So I'm very like obedient with it. Like that is something that I make sure that I'm doing on a daily basis, and definitely studying the word a little bit more than what I have been doing, because I know that's my next step. And it's a scary next step.
It's so hard.
But that is my next step. And I know, you know, like I've cried tears about this. And I don't know why sometimes, like, because I want to get to the next step. But when you realize that that's the next step, sometimes you're just like, okay, I'm already amazing, right? Already amazing.
It's the pressure. Like, I'm so happy to hear somebody else say that, because it was my intention for the year. I don't do New Year's resolutions.
No.
But I set an intention for the year.
Yes.
And for this year, I wanted to tap in more to my spiritual self-care. So I started the year, girl, if I pull them down, you'll be like, girl. I bought me a new Bible. I bought the markers. I got the pens. I got the guided journals. I got the 52 weeks for the Black woman. I got this and that. I bought all these things. I got the books for the wives.
Yes.
I bought so much. I even made sure I downloaded the digital Bible. So I ain't have no excuse if I didn't have the paper Bible.
That's right.
Like I did all of this, and I was like, cool, I'm going to start waking up an hour earlier than what I normally would. And I'm going to come into my office, and I'm going to be quiet, and me and God are going to sit together. Right.
Yes.
About three times. I'm not even going to hold on. About 3 good times. And I know it was 3 times, y'all, because it's documented. Okay.
Yes.
Because I wanted to be transparent, because I was like, I can't be the only one. Like, it's not just being you.
No.
So I wanted to document it, but I didn't want that documentation to interrupt what I was doing, because like that ain't the purpose. That ain't the point. But me sharing my story, me sharing my truth and my spiritual walk is because that is a form of self-care.
Yes.
And so I wanted to be able to document that, but I couldn't do it.
Right.
And I was like, I got a good thing going, but I'm not doing it for the likes and the views.
No.
And so I'm not encouraged or motivated because of the likes and the views. So, but that is the one area, like, I'm a strong T in every other pillar.
Yes.
But spirituality,
right.
Like, okay, God, you're going to have to just come down here and show me. You're going to have to wake me up.
Yes.
Like, but that's the only area that I'm so disobedient. Like, and then I'm so ashamed to say that. But I'm like, that's also our humanity. Like that's
our humanity.
But it's okay. It's the fear of success.
Yeah.
Because I know once I do it, Demi, you know, once you do it, it's going to unlock something. And I'm scared of what that is.
Right.
So it's like I'm walking in my purpose with limitations.
Yeah.
But then that means I'm not walking in my purpose, because there's no limit on your purpose and your potential.
No limit.
No limit. We're gonna get off of that, honey, because I'm starting to feel like some kind of way.
No. Yes.
So let's focus back on the motivation, because we can sit right here. Like, we could just drop the whole mic right here.
Right here.
Because we are a work in progress. And I have to remind myself that I am allowed to be a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. I always said my life is a beautiful disaster. I am a walking beautiful disaster. I tattooed it on my shoulder. Okay.
Yes.
And so I have to remind myself that I can be a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. I'm still loved. I'm still worthy. For anybody listening, we are not judging. We're just telling you where we are. Okay.
Absolutely.
Demi, what keeps you going when your motivation is low? Like, when imposter syndrome shows up, what keeps you going? When that fear starts to creep in, how do you stay motivated or empowered?
So It's really about me knowing and seeing, right? When you're aligned with your true intentions and you see what God is doing for you, you don't want to give up. You know that there's more. And like I said, I definitely have the days, but I have been walking on this journey and I've seen so many amazing things happen. Yeah. And I feel so blessed. And if I feel so blessed and I've been given this gift, why can't I keep going? I'm going to have a bad day. I am human, Right. Just like you said, we're not perfect. It's progress over perfection, always. And I know I'm progressing. If I look back last year, the year before, I'm amazed. And I know I'm not doing it on my own.
Right.
Without God, I know I wouldn't have been here. I wouldn't have been able to get through some of the stuff that I've gotten through. So, right. What just gets me through is knowing and looking at how far I've come and appreciating that. And that's the self-care and the self-love.
Yeah. And see, for me, I find myself isolating when I feel that shame that, when I'm not motivated, I isolate because it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I recognize that my cup is empty. So I have to go refill my cup. Right. And I don't need to take you with me when I do that. So it's kind of like I go isolate. But the problem is I'm so comfortable being alone.
Yeah.
Like I love me. So I can sit with me all day, but I've had to learn that my motivation comes from then going back out. So even though my cup isn't full, I had to learn how to surround myself by like-minded people. And it's crazy because it's what I prayed for. Like I said, when I met Joe, honey, I was praying for me and me. Mm-hmm. Now I'm surrounded by a bunch of me's, but then I want to go isolate. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Like, so I started reaching out to, my community, my people, and my soul tribe, honestly. Yeah. And I had to learn, like, okay, I need to be able to reach out to these people and I need to say it.
Yes.
I need to do it because look, I'm, being a life coach, like people sometimes put us on a pedestal, like we're not human beings too. Mm-hmm. Like we're going through stuff too.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? We have the mornings where we wake up and we want to roll over and just quit, but there's a point in your life where you have to just learn that like the obedience is the muscle. Mm-hmm. So some days it's heavy lifting, we don't all like leg day.
Yes, okay, we don't like leg day.
Like arm days, it hurts. Okay.
Right.
But it like I said, it may come in that heavy lifting, or sometimes it comes in a small whisper. Like I think I've gotten used to the heavy lifting. It's the whisper that gets me every time, right? The one that tells you like post the message, stream the content, make the call, do the podcast with guests, as Demi would say.
Yes.
Say yes. Write the song. Those are the ones that I feel like kind of shake me to my core. And, that's what I think that's why I started reaching out to like you guys to say, hey, look, I'm just having a bad day. Even when I do the podcast, it's like, I don't feel like doing a podcast today, but I owe it to you guys to still take up space. Mm-hmm. And then I'll just start talking and speak my truth.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And there's the blessing in that. And there's the motivation that comes with that. And that reminder to me that purpose doesn't always look pretty. Purpose doesn't ask for perfect. Purpose simply requires your presence.
Yes.
And that's a big thing, I think, for us to really understand, because we are so busy trying to perfect our purpose. We think that if it's not pretty, it can't be purposeful, but purpose wants presence, not perfection. And that's a big reminder too, that God is not seeking perfection. He's not waiting for us to be perfect and whatever to show up. He wants us to show up in the middle of the mess. Mm-hmm. Like he done hung out in the mess before. He knows about the good.
He knows about the mess. Exactly.
You ain't gotta wait till you move on up.
Right.
He knows.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I don't know. And two, I think that, there's a big difference between awareness and activation,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes,
One
absolutely.
makes you think and the other one makes you move. And a lot of us are woke, we're aware,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not activated.
Yep.
And in our community, we don't typically get activated until there's a problem. But like, why can't we activate before it all goes to shit?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, why can't we move and act on it before it's the end of the world? And so I really wish that people would start to understand that, yes, you're woke, you're aware in whatever area that it is, because it really doesn't matter,
Right.
but now that you're aware, you have to activate. You've got to do something about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, once you're aware of your purpose, you can't unknow it. No matter how much you want to, and trust me, I think Demi will agree. Baby, we didn't knew the purpose, and we was like, I ain't doing it.
I ain't doing it.
I'm not doing it. Not today, Lord. Maybe tomorrow.
Right.
Get somebody else to do it.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, because there's plenty of times where I wake up and be like, listen, Lord, I done been on the front line for the last 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I go cook in the kitchen and I hand out mints.
Right.
Like, because
Yes.
I'm tired, and you still get out there on the front line. And no matter how unsettled, that you feel in certain spaces, you have to keep going. You can't unknow it.
Yeah.
And then you start to realize how unsettled you feel in spaces that no longer align with you. People you've been hanging out with for years just no longer seem entertaining.
Nope.
Things that you used to do don't do it for you no more.
No,
right?
It doesn't.
And at some point it gets harder to pretend. You can ignore your purpose all you want, but eventually you're going to get to a point in your life where you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
How would you say that your awareness of your purpose shifted the spaces that you were showing up in, or spaces that you had to walk away from?
Yeah, definitely. That's happened. So, I mean, I have several examples of that. It's on a daily basis. It's, people, places, and things, just like you said. And I don't judge anybody, whatever people want to do with their time. That's what people want to do at a time. But I have friends that, love to go out to eat, love to go to the movies and everything. And it wasn't doing it for me. It wasn't hitting the same. I'm like, I could be working on my purpose. I could be working on strengthening this. I wanted more. I wanted to learn more. I wanted that knowledge, right? So none of that stuff interested me anymore. And that was just, on a small scale. Nothing happened. It was just, I realized that I don't want to spend 2.5 hours watching just some old movie. That's not, something I want to do on a regular basis. And then just like you said, finding the like-minded people. And sometimes you don't want to let go of some people, right? Because you feel like they are supporting you in some way, right?
Right.
But for whatever reason, you have to walk away from them because they're not supporting you in the way that you need at this time. Because you're growing, because you are getting to the next level and you outgrow some people. And that's not a bad thing either. You can't take everybody with you. But you have to recognize, and that hurts. Like, wait, why am I not connecting with this person? Why does it feel like a little bit more of a struggle? Because you've grown.
Right.
And I mean, sometimes it could be the other person. Maybe the other person has grown in a different direction, and it's just time to walk away. And it's not always a bad thing. It doesn't have to be, something, crazy going on, but sometimes that happens too, though. But
it does.
You just have to really be aware. Like you said, you really have to be aware, and be able to really want it, and really just once you realize what that purpose is, not only just being aware, but being activated in it. And that's what brings me joy. Seeing the growth, being activated, being able to say, oh, I did that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I could do pretty much anything, right? Oh, okay. There's no limit. There's no limit on this purpose, just like you said. So I think really just, accepting that it's okay to let go of some people sometime. because you have to move on and you have to be obedient in your path and in your purpose if that's what you want to accomplish.
Absolutely. I already know the answer to this question, but I want you to answer it anyway. Have you ever felt torn between the old version of you and the version your purpose is calling you to be?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, maybe every week.
I'm like, what time is it? 7 o'clock. Right. Yep. I'm
like,
torn right now.
Torn right now.
7:15. Yeah.
I think that question right there, and it's just making me say, okay, I gotta take this next step. So which my next step for me is building that foundation even more. Whether it be going back to church on a regular basis, really following the word and understanding the word. That is the next step for me. Yeah. And it's scary for me because I feel like you have, like, you know, when it comes to the church folk, the church people being in the church, they kind of, you know, have this, like, you think that they're perfect. And I know they're not perfect, but right. It just comes with so much more pressure. Like, right. Okay, I understand this word. I understand what this means.
Right.
But why am I doing the opposite? Wait, why am I going back to the old version? That's what the old me would do. But now I know. Right. I know better. So I should do better. Right? So it's a struggle. It's a struggle. But, you know, I know that there's so much more potential and growth that's going to come along with it once we do, you know, not just put our little toe in or a little pinky in, right. You know,
take a little dip.
Take a little dip. But we gotta dive in. We have to dive in to really ignite that purpose and be able to continue to grow. So
yeah. I think the whole shift is just wild, right? Like, I used to sit in certain rooms and wonder why I felt so uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Like friends that I've known for years, suddenly it was just like the flip of a switch. Like I don't even want to take the phone calls anymore. You know, sitting in these spaces with people doing what we've always done doesn't feel the same anymore. Right. And I'm like, what's changed? You know, I've been in relationships before, you know, and at first I was like, oh, it's because I got married and I got single friends. Yeah. Okay, but like I got married friends too. And right. I don't want to do this anymore. Mm-hmm. Like you said, the conversations don't hit the same anymore. Yeah. And then it got to the point where, you know, the tea used to be my thing. Okay. Like I love the tea.
Yes.
I am everybody's housewife of everywhere. Okay. Right. I liked all the Basketball Wives drama.
Yes. Uh-huh.
But it got to the point where even gossip and drama and toxic energy just started draining the life out of me, you know? And the chaos was literally giving me a headache. I started noticing, I became like very emotional. Like everything started making me cry. Yes. Good things, bad things, whatever. Yes. And I was like, who asked me to be an empath? Like, I asked for a lot of things, Lord, but not this. Yes. You know? And I didn't know what it was. And then I can remember I met somebody. Girl, if you watch this show, yes, I'm talking about you. Okay, so I had met somebody who had claimed or called themselves an empath, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't hear the word all the time. I always knew I had a thing, you know, whatever. But I never put a name on it. I didn't identify. Yeah. I'm just being me, and I'm sensitive.
Right.
Whatever. But once I put a name on it, then I know the definition of it. So there's certain traits, there's certain expectations that come with you saying you are an empath. You will never hear me say, I'm an empath. Baby, I didn't ask for this. Yes. And so I can remember there was a certain point where I was like, how is this person an empath when they lack empathy? Like it doesn't make sense. Like the math doesn't math, you know?
Right.
And from that point, like when I just kind of, there was a situation that took place and I was just like, these people, and it was more than one person, you know, I started recognizing all of these people lack empathy. Mm-hmm. And I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't hit the same anymore. And I just started realizing like, it's not them. It's me, right? Like it has nothing to do with you. Those people are great people. They're amazing people, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's me. Like I'm changing. I'm evolving.
Yes.
And I had to understand that. And there was no reason to place blame. I'm not going to point the finger because I already know 3 of them is pointing back at me.
Yes.
So I had to recognize that, but most importantly in that journey, because it was, like I said, it wasn't one person. It was overwhelming of how many people was just like falling out of my life.
Yes.
And I couldn't understand it. And I remember I was praying on it and I was just like, God, please remove what is not for me.
Yes.
People. I didn't tell you to take the people.
Right.
I just did remove the roadblocks, like clear up construction. If they ain't fixed the road by now, they not gonna fix it. Take it away. But I didn't realize at the time that also meant people that I loved and that I cared about. And then things just started being revealed and I was just like, oh. And the lesson that I learned in all of that was that I had to stop shrinking for the sake of comfort.
Yes.
Because I'm not comfortable in these spaces with these people anymore. I don't feel safe in these spaces with these people anymore. So why do I keep dissecting myself and chopping myself in little pieces to be more digestible to the people that don't give a damn about me? Honestly, you know?
Right.
And that's the thing about growth, the little tricky thing called growth.
Yes.
Growth will create gaps between where you've been and where you're going.
Yes.
But that gap, as awkward as it is, that gap is grace. And it's giving you space to choose. And that's such a beautiful thing about life. Like knowing that we all have an expiration date, that the end is inevitable, right?
Yes.
And knowing that between now and whenever that is, like we have freedom to choose.
Yes.
You know, what we want to do. And for me, I was just like, I don't want to take that for granted anymore. Like I need to make better choices. I need to make better choices at who I choose to show up as, who I choose to hang around, what I choose to watch, listen to. And I had to give up the tea. I had to stop drinking tea so much, y'all. But it worked out. And that's the thing. It definitely worked out. Even though I mourned losing those people and those relationships and situations, it made room for so many other connections because I didn't have space for it then. Right? Like I didn't have, okay, pun intended, I didn't have room to breathe.
Love it.
And that was what I was missing the most. And I remember when I first started going to therapy, like 2019, my therapist, the very first session, she said something to me like, okay, so, you know, she knew I had a husband and all that. And she's like, are you prepared for y'all to grow at different paces? Because you are choosing to go to therapy, you are choosing to heal and to better yourself. And, you know, if he's quote unquote anti-therapy, as most Black men are, right?
Black men are, yes.
Are you prepared that there may come a point where your journey is not moving at the same pace? So I was so hyper focused on her saying that me and my husband may grow separately that I was so focused on that. Oh, I didn't realize you just meant like you and people in general.
Yes.
Like I was very literal in that translation because you called out my marriage. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I was like, we got to keep growing. And babe, we're going to stay together. I'm going to go to therapy, but you could keep doing you.
Yes.
Yes. You know, that I didn't realize all the friends that were falling by the wayside. And then I look back and I was like, hold on, what just happened? You know what I mean? It's like waking up in a ghost town and you're like, what just happened? That's purpose for you.
Yeah, that's purpose for
you. There you go, y'all. That's purpose. When people start falling off, you on your path.
Yep.
You on the right path.
You are on the right path. Just keep going. Just keep going.
Yeah, purpose isn't always pretty. It's not always popular, right? It definitely comes with sacrifice, and you're gonna have to shed some layers. You're gonna lose you're going to lose some things. You're going to lose some people. And I'm not talking about just, physical loss in the sense of like life and death.
Right.
I'm literally talking about some of the people that live in the house with you, and you're going to lose them.
Right.
Like, y'all not going to be aligned anymore. The neighbor across the street that y'all sip mimosas all the time, she's going to fall off because she's just going to be like, I don't even like the way she drink anymore.
Right.
So you might lose comfort, convenience, and connections because, as Demi said, everybody can't come with you. And that's the beauty of it. That's what sets you apart from everybody, knowing that everybody's not meant to come with you.
Yes.
What's something or someone you had to release? Now, notice I didn't say lose, because losing and releasing are two different things, right? What's something or someone that you had to release in order to continue to grow in your purpose?
I was very close with a couple of people that I had met online, and it was very. I had to release it. I had to release at least the why. Like, why are we not on the same page? Why is this happening? I had to be able to release that, because sometimes you're not going to know the why, right? In order for me to continue on, I had to release that wanting to know. Like, okay, but I need to know exactly why. What exactly happened? Let's talk this to death.
Right.
Let's figure this all out, because I need to know. And sometimes you have to let go of that why and just know that you're on the right path, and this is part of your growth, and it's okay. And it's okay to feel the way that you feel, and for somebody else to feel another way. And it doesn't mean you're right, or they're wrong, whatever the case may be. It just means that these are your feelings, and they're valid, and they're not going to align with everybody all the time. And sometimes you like I said, you can't take everybody with you. You want to, right? You want everybody, to come with you. One big old party. Who wants to be alone?
Right.
No.
Absolutely.
But sometimes we have to be alone to realize what's going on. And as you were saying earlier about being able to recognize when we need help, right? To be able to reach out to your community that you've built, those like-minded people, to help to continue to build you up. We have to be able to know sometimes, we need to sit by ourselves and kind of figure some things out. And then sometimes we need to reach out. Okay. Exactly. We need to realize where that line is. Because it's hard sometimes. And sometimes, like you said, you isolate yourself for 3-4 days. Oh, exactly. You have to do all that.
Right.
One day would have been all right.
Take the day, but bring you back here tomorrow.
But we gotta show up. We have things to do, and sometimes realizing that is hard, because sometimes that isolation feels comfy. Like, I just can't just lay here in my own and be my old self. No, you can't. I mean, if you want to stay that person, yes, but no, you have to learn, and you have to know when to pull yourself out and when to get help.
What the song say, you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them.
Yes, exactly. All truth. Right. All truth.
How do you navigate the tension between loyalty and alignment? Go ahead. This is because I don't even know that I would be prepared to answer this question.
Wait. Can we see that loyalty is written, tattooed on my? Listen. Okay. Loyalty.
Okay, well, I got loyalty alignment in my DNA. Okay.
That one hits home. Like,
yeah.
That one, yes. Like, because and for me, I pride myself in being a very loyal person. But sometimes that loyalty may not be reciprocated, or it may not be aligned with your purpose. Right. You might be being loyal to this person and that person, but is that what's your purpose? Are you being purposeful? Are you being intentional in what you need to do? Because you being loyal to this person is not going to help you in your self growth. And that's what it really is about. Once we learn to be happy within ourselves, there's no telling what you can do and where you can go. And not depending on somebody else's, and not depending on you to be loyal to somebody that may not be worthy of that loyalty sometimes, or sometimes, you're just not on the same page, and we can't always be loyal. You got to be loyal to yourself first. And I was just telling somebody this, a lot of times, growing up and just the older generation, we always made sure that when we made a promise to somebody, you don't want to break a promise to somebody that you made, right? So if you say you're going to be there at 6 o'clock, you're going to be there at 6 o'clock, right? Like you try tooth and nail, I'm going to be there. I told him I got to be there at 6 o'clock, I'm going to be there at 6 o'clock. But there's a lot of times where we make promises to ourselves. Oh, this is a boundary I set.
You break it every time.
And you break it every time.
Every time.
What happened? Like that was a disconnect. We forgot about ourselves.
Right.
We have to be loyal to ourselves and make those promises to ourselves and hold ourselves accountable within ourselves to something that we know we need to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I was thinking about it because I was like, Dag, how would I answer this question?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's a good question, Coach. But I'm like,
yeah, that was a good question, Coach.
Okay, damn, Shantae, how you going to answer it? Right. Because Coach got all the questions, but Shantae, she don't have all the answers, Right. But I guess if I think about that, I keep thinking about like this season of my life where I felt like I honestly was confusing loyalty with love. And like I said, I talked about this a moment ago, how I just kind of kept people around, not because they were pouring into me, but because they still had a place in my life that I was building, but I felt like I owed them something, whether it was because they've done something for me or they've been here for a certain amount of time, or we family. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it be your own people, right? So I felt like I owed them. Some of those people have been there for me during my lowest moments at that point in life. And they knew the old me, the broken me, right? The new circle, they don't know that stuff. Yeah. And so I thought that meant that, they had to come with me into my next season. Because they know we started from the bottom, now we're here, so they got to go there. Right. But what I didn't realize was that every person who walks with you through your pain isn't meant to walk with you to your purpose.
Yes.
And like I said, I had plenty of situations, more than I even care to admit, where I shrank myself to keep them comfortable.
Yes.
Constantly saying yes when my spirit was screaming no. If you invited me, I was there. I didn't want to be. Right. And I knew exactly what was going to happen when I went to the family cookout. I didn't want to go, but I showed up because I was invited. And if I don't, then they're going to talk about me. Yes. But I know when I get there, they're going to talk about me.
Right.
So it's like, what's the reason? But I felt like I had to show up despite the fact that I was emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually drained. I had to show up just to prove that I was still loyal. But deep down, I remember just being so tired of one-sided loyalty, because I understood the definition of loyalty, but clearly everyone else did not.
No.
And, nobody checks on the strong friend. And so I was tired of being the strong one, tired of holding on to people just because we got history, just because we got the same last name. You know what I mean? Because we come from the same hood. I was tired of that. And I started realizing that we're not even in tune. Like, we ain't got no harmony. There's no chemistry anymore.
Yes.
And so one day it really truly hit me that my loyalty was costing me my alignment. I remember feeling like God didn't call me or put a calling on me to make me available.
Yes.
the calling on me was to be authentic, right?
Mhm.
And he never asked me to drag people along. Like, I've never heard a voice tell me,
No,
take me with you.
no.
But I always heard the voice to walk in my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be like, I don't know what my purpose is, but I'm gonna bring them with me because they're gonna help me find it.
Right. Right.
I don't want to do it by myself.
Yeah.
Okay. But, you know, once I started noticing that everyone was being removed,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't release them all.
Yes.
But once I started realizing that they were removed,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Jesus was smoting everybody in my life.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, but now what?
Right.
I started walking and I started choosing alignment, not just waiting for it to happen. And I think little by little, one boundary at a time, one no at a time,
Yes.
it started making sense to me. And yeah, it's lonely, but I've learned that healing is lonely
Mm-hmm.
at times, because you have to face things that you've hidden, things that nobody else knows.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's lonely, and yeah, you're gonna grieve some people.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the people that you thought were going to be with you forever, right? Some
Forever.
of those little death do us part people,
Yes.
they gone and y'all still very much alive.
Mm-hmm.
But I promise you, if you continue to walk towards that purpose, even though you don't know what the purpose of the walk is yet, just walk.
Yes.
You'll find peace. You'll find clarity. Pun intended, you'll find room to breathe.
Yes.
Like, you just
Love
look it
it.
up on all platforms, honey. We're right here, okay?
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, you just have to honestly stay the course. And you know, realize that sometimes the most loving thing that you can do for them and for yourself is to let them go. Love doesn't always mean proximity.
Yes.
Sometimes it means release. And you know, the only person, like, you don't owe your loyalty to anyone. No one. Not
No
the
one.
person who gave you life, not your family, not your friend. You don't owe your loyalty to anyone but you. And if you are loyal to others, then that's a bonus. That's just an added trait.
Yes.
But if you're, you know, if Demi was loyal to me, but I could see how she's not loyal to herself, I'm going to question her loyalty, because I'm going to wonder, why don't you matter?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I see the beauty in you. I see your purpose. I see what's happening here, but clearly you don't,
Right.
you know? So you people have to start to really understand that it's bigger than what happens behind closed doors. It's bigger who you align yourself with. Purpose isn't just about what you do in public.
Absolutely.
The biggest part of purpose is who you are becoming in private. So your habits, your healing, your mindset, your boundaries, all of that is how you do that. And you know, we talk about, you have to stay the course. You've got to do that daily walk, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's something that people, we talk about it, right? We talk the talk, but we don't walk the walk.
Mm-hmm.
When Migos tell us, you got to walk it like you talk it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I'm gonna find a healing word and some self-care in every song, don't matter what it is, y'all.
Yes.
But I'm curious, what does purpose, how do I want to word this? What does your purpose-driven lifestyle actually look like on a regular day?
On a regular day, it is, I love working out. Okay. It keeps me focused. It keeps me driven. So definitely I'm working out every day. I'm journaling every day. Doing my meditation in some form. I'm sticking to a schedule. I am a routine person. I love a good routine.
Yeah.
Tell me where I need to be, how I need to do it, and making sure that it is aligning with my purpose. Just being intentional in everything that I'm doing. And if I do question, like, something that comes about, right? Okay, why am I doing this? Is this something that's going to get me closer to my purpose, or is it just some frivolous thing that I'm doing?
Right.
Right. So
Right.
just kind of always being mindful of that and just reminding myself that it's always the progress over perfection. And it's just about giving myself that grace to know that I am human, and I'm going to get there. It may take some time, but just those reminders, just always trying to remind myself, like I said earlier, when people are like, why me, why me? And I'm just like, at this point, I've been able to take that negative self-talk and turn it around into some positive affirmations. And I'm always like, well, why not me? Why can't I do it? Because I hear it all the time. People are like, you're doing too much. You're doing this. What's going on? You're all over the place. No, I got this. Okay. Right. I got this. Right. I'm all this stuff that I'm doing is with intention. And I know what I'm doing. I'm going to be able to get through this, that, and the third to get to the ultimate goal. And it just looks so amazing over there. So why wouldn't I want to continue? Just like you said, the rocks, you see the river and the boat and the steps and everything, and you see the other side, and it looks amazing over there.
Right.
I'm gonna do those steps. All those things that you named were the steps to get to the other side. I'm gonna do those steps because it looks amazing over there.
Yeah, and Earth is ghetto.
Yeah,
I learned that once I stepped into my healing journey. I was like, this is ghetto. 10 out of 10, don't recommend.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and, I'm across the river.
Yeah.
I'm going to wade in the water. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to wade in the water, and I'm going to trust that God got me. And
yes,
I'm headed over there. And I even know that what's on the other side of that river is not my final destination.
Right.
I'm on a mission.
On a mission.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm on a mission. And when I think about like my daily walk, I guess would look like intentional silence in the morning. Like, I love to come into my office. Everybody else is usually asleep. And it's like, I got about a good maybe 30 minutes to an hour by myself before I fill everybody else's cup. So it's like I come in here. Sometimes it's like I said, the intentional silence. I like to journal my truths.
Yes.
The ugly truths.
The ugly.
Sometimes it be ugly, and I'd be like, you better not tell nobody but God, okay?
Right. Right.
But I think most importantly for me, my daily walk is all about choosing boundaries to protect my peace, right? Choosing boundaries like I choose my peace, So like if it doesn't align for me, like I don't want it. If it doesn't support my values, who I believe that I am being called to be, like I just don't want it.
Yeah.
And purpose shows up in how I talk to myself. Like I speak life over myself. Purpose shows up in how I say no, how I rest. Because I used to battle insomnia, something awful. Baby, I sleep real good at night now. Okay? I sleep real good. No medication needed. I don't need no melatonin, honey. I just need to do what I need to do and trust that the Lord going to bring me back tomorrow to finish what I done started. Amen. I'm going to wake up the next day in my right mind, because Lord know that's a thing. Okay?
That's a thing. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a very real thing. Trust me. But yeah, it's how I return to my center after having a hard day, because life going to keep lifing.
Yes.
But this walk is spiritual, not just religious. I need people to understand that.
Yep.
It's spiritual. It is how you connect with the universe.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
Your spiritual walk may take on its own religious, journey and beliefs, but when we talk about our spiritual walk, we're not just talking about God and whatever. Like, we are literally talking about how we show up in our human bodies, in the universe, in the world, how we interact with the plants, the animals, other people. How what we do here affects everyone else, everywhere else. So this walk is so spiritual. So much so that it's so sacred.
Yes.
And it's a surrender, right? Like you have to be submissive to it.
Yes.
That's a scary thing when
That
you a
is a
strong
scary
Black
thing.
woman.
Yes. That is so true.
Yeah.
Being able to realize the things that we cannot control, like, and accepting of that.
Yeah.
That is a big one for a
lot
lot.
of what is it? A lot of serenity prayers going on.
Yes.
With this.
Yes.
And how accept the things that I cannot change. I'm like, wait a minute, why I can't change it?
Why can't I change it? Right.
I'm anointed. Why I can't change it, Lord?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Then I had to go back and I hear that little whisper. It's not thy will, it's the will of God. Okay,
Yes.
fine. Okay, fine. I ask questions in my obedience, y'all. You can still question it. You just got to keep going. Do it anyway.
Oh yeah.
But yes, I think that as we keep having these talks, I think we need to just keep shining the light on the fact that, we don't need more hustle in our culture. We need more healing in our culture.
Yes, we need lots of healing.
Yeah, and purpose isn't about doing the most. It's about being the most aligned. It's not about proving yourself to the world. It's more so honoring the version of you that God is calling you to be before anybody else ever had an opinion. Right? Because society is going to constantly tell you who you should be, who you should love, what you should wear, what you should eat, whatever. But purpose don't have nothing to do with that. Okay? Purpose don't make IG posts. Purpose don't have Pinterest boards.
No.
It's about you showing up as who God is calling you to be in that version. And if somebody happens to catch it, so be it. So honestly, if you've ever been wearing yourself out trying to produce, to perform, or trying to prove, I hope that this podcast, this conversation, gives you, I guess, permission to just pause, to just breathe, and let this conversation be your reminder that your value isn't in how fast you move, but it's how true that you can stay, to what's real, to reality. Because alignment feels like peace. It feels like boundaries. It feels like coming home to yourself.
Yes.
And
Amen.
That kind of, life purpose was meant to support you, I guess, not a distraction from it.
Right.
But yeah, y'all, listen. Before we wrap up, I gotta give my sis JusDemi the mic one last time. Okay, y'all. Demi, what's one final message that you'd love to leave with our Room2Breathe family, especially those who are just now stepping into their purpose? And make sure that you let them know how they can also connect with you, how they can support you, or just stay tapped in and tuned into your journey as well.
Absolutely. Final message. Love yourself. Love yourself unconditionally. Give yourself grace. And just take your time. It's not a race. You're going to get there, and just continue to pour into yourself first before you pour into anybody else. And it's just amazing. It really is an amazing journey. And I hope that more people start to heal within themselves in order to continue to grow and to be aligned with their purpose. And as far as how to find me, I am on social media platforms. I am on Instagram. It's going to be JusDemi _life coaching. Or you can reach me by email, demi@justdemicoaching.llc. But yes, final message of the day: love yourself, protect your peace, and just enjoy the journey and give yourself grace. Thank you.
Yes. Come on, period. Sam, I need you guys to understand this is your invitation, okay? I encourage you all to just take one step today. not a perfect one, not a polished one, just one that says, I'm done just knowing, right? I'm ready to live it. I'm tired of just being aware. I'm ready to activate it. I want to remind you guys that, if anything hit your heart today, drop some green hearts in the comments. Let us know, what spoke to your spirit. You can share this episode, screenshot it, tag me at JusDemi, and just share the moment with your tribe, with your community, and let them know that we're not just aware, that we're activated. I also, again, invite you all to head over to my website at selfcareclub.org. You can tap into the free resources that we have available. And again, you guys, look, if we're not already connected, be sure to give us a follow. Y'all see we cool people.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Give us a follow. Subscribe to the channel. So that way you just don't miss a moment of what's next. But yeah, you guys, until next time, I love each and every one of you. Y'all know I'm, queen of telling you guys that I hope you have an amazing day on purpose, filled with nothing but purpose. And we look forward to reconnecting with you guys again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
you.